Hello, everybody. Everybody. Hello, everyone. Let me just get this all connected and we'll go from there. Hello. Can everybody hear me? I hope so. It's good to see you guys. I can hear you. My headphones. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna have a good day. Cool. Good afternoon, everybody. It's 1 o'clock on a sunny here in Seattle afternoon. It's 4/24/2025. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's workshop. My name is Rocky Hollenbaugh, and this is United Indians of All Tribes Foundation's financial education workshop from 1 to 2. So we're going to be talking about budgeting today. We're going to go into a couple different skills, but that's mostly what we're going to be talking about. And so I want to share my screen real quick. I want to thank you guys all for coming, and we'll get started here. I did have some housekeeping stuff. If you're not registered for the program, go ahead and go to bit.ly/UIATF. You do not have to have your camera on during the workshop, but you do need to be here 30 minutes to have attendance count for you guys. And thank you all for attending. And so let's kind of get started. I want to say hello to everyone for sure. So hello and good seeing you guys. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If you're unfamiliar with how to access the chat, it's either, if you're on your phone, it's going to be the 3 dots. Inside of the 3 dots, it's going to say chat. If you're on a mobile or like a laptop, it's going to be this is the chat function on the top of the screen. I am at home today teaching, so if you hear little ones running around, my littles are here, so they're probably going to scream a little bit as we do this presentation, but no worries on that. So just let me know. So I apologize ahead of time for that. Okay, so budgeting. You know, the biggest thing that stands between most of us and our financial goals is this thing called a budget, right? Like we have income coming in. It's just what do we do with that income? How do we navigate it to get it to where we need it to go? And there's a couple different tools that we use to do that. There's some ratios that we use. Like the 50/30/20 ratio. Hello, Liam, and everybody else that's coming in. And there's also the 70/20/10 ratio. So those are ways to just kind of take your income and divide it into buckets or baskets, if you will. The 50/30/20 ratio is used for like a balanced budget, but if you have high expenses, it happens. The 70/20/10 is a great ratio to use also. That's 70% of your essentials go to, 70% of your budget goes to essentials like rent and food and communication and transportation and those type of things. And then 30% goes to discretionary stuff like subscriptions or fast food restaurants or whatever it may be that you want to do that's extra for your life. And then 10% would go to your savings goals. Hello, Kate. Ideally, we'd have that switch around where 30% of it would go to savings and 10% of it would go to discretionary, but that's really up to you. And it's also why we start with the expense tracker when I teach this skill, because really a budget that doesn't work for your lifestyle doesn't work at all, right? You're not going to follow it. And so we try to figure that out by this first skill I'm going to teach you, which is going to be tracking your expenses. So let's go and get into that real quick. A lot of you guys have been here for a little while and have already done this skill before, but some of us are new, so let's talk about it real quick and then we'll move on. So we talked about this yesterday a little bit. So spending tracker is just going to basically be, you're going to track your expenses. A lot of us rely on our banks to do this, and what happens is that we have a disconnect about what we're spending and what's going out of our account. And so we really need to write these down for at least a month, right? 21 days is what we're shooting for. 21 days will form a habit for us. And so you want to write down every expense that you have for the next 21 days. And then you're going to use those expenses to write out your budget. Okay, that's going to be next. So let's do some examples. I wanted to try to use a whiteboard today, and we'll see if it works. Let's see. We're going to add an app. We're going to go here to whiteboard. See if it pops up for us. We'll see. What we're going to do is we're going to develop some expenses. We're just pretty much going to make a budget as we go today, and hopefully you guys will be able to do that along with me. So we'll see. See if this works. Let's go. sometimes I try to use technology in here and it just doesn't work. So skip for now. Okay, let's see if I can share this part of the screen, make this big. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. Let me see if I can make this big for us or pull this over to the other screen. No, I cannot. Okay. And let's see if you guys can share this with me. So we'll see if you guys can also share this with me. Doesn't look like it's going to work. Every time I try to use technology, it does not work on here. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. That did not work. So we'll keep on going. We'll push forward. No worries. Hey, Kilf, how are you? Oh, here. Oh, we might have got it working. What? Okay, so we do have this board here. Can everybody see this? Can you guys move around in here? Try to move your mouse on the screen, somebody. And see if that's possible. Because you should be able to select, you guys should also be able to select these tabs. Not seeing it. Okay, perfect. Okay, it might not work. No one can see this whiteboard right here? No. Snaps. Nope, nothing. Okay, no worries. Yeah, no, I can share this, but I guess it's not going to work. Okay, well, I'll try to figure it out for next time. It'd be kind of cool to be able to use this whiteboard. So next time we'll share it. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It's just not working. Nope. Cool. Hey, unknown user, I need you to put at least your name in the chat because otherwise you won't get a credit for attending. So let me go ahead and share my other screen. That one's not working for us, so no worries. Okay, so what I wanted to do is that we'd each come up with like an expense that we have, and so we could kind of do this in real time. Does anybody kind of want to go over the expense tracker, or should we move on to the next skill? Everybody's kind of got the expense tracker down? Was working, I could type on the screen. Oh, okay, well, it sounds like it was working. Let's try it again. Okay, thank you, son. You're amazing. Okay, perfect. Well, let's try again. Let's try this one more time. Okay, skip for now. So can you guys type? It looks like you guys are here. It looks like you're participating. Some of us, I think you have to add yourself into the whiteboard. Like maybe it comes on your screen. It will say, "Do you want to join this?" Open class boards. Okay. No, not working still. Fair enough. So I got 7 of you guys on here, I think. When you see the screen, just navigate through it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is the tools that we have. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is going to work exactly for us the way that we want it to today. And I don't want to take up too much of your time by trying to figure this technology stuff out. So, hey, guys, and so I'm going to see if we can. So you guys can type on here. I didn't see anybody type yet. I can write. Can you guys see this? Expenses. No. All right, we're going to keep moving on to this other screen. And we'll come back to that once I have a better grasp of it tomorrow. I'm sorry about that. Okay, cool. So from there, we create our budget from that. So budget, I have a better worksheet for budget here. Where we at? All things cash flow. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated today because I was at a work group all morning. We had like this big old fair, like job fair that we were at, the Showware Stadium, if you guys have ever been there in Kent. It's where like the Kraken play. We were there most of the day this morning, so I was doing that thing. So, okay, that's for bill and cash flow. I'm looking for our this one right here. Okay, cool. So bear with me for a second. There we go. So basically a budget template. So looks like this. You're going to input your income here. So your salary or other income, right? And then you have your monthly expenses. So you're going to have a housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, entertainment, and savings, and miscellaneous expenses. The way that I usually teach this is that you use your expense tracker to pull that on what categories over into your expenses, and those become your categories for expenses. And then you can track your actual spending on what the stuff that you actually spend it on, right? So that's the way I usually teach it. This is the other way of teaching a budget, which is where you're going to put your income. This is a traditional way of teaching a budget. So you put your income here, your salary, your expenses that you have, and then you equal up your total income to your total expenses, and that becomes your net income. And down here, so this becomes your net income, which is total income minus expenses, and whatever's left over here usually goes into savings, hopefully. And we roughly tried to get to about 10 to 20% for your savings. Okay, that's kind of how you set up that for a traditional budget. And that's not exactly how I teach it, so I'm going to teach you how I kind of do it. So any questions on a traditional budget and how to set those up? Nope? Okay, cool. Okay, so these are the questions I wanted to kind of ask you guys too. That's savings goals. We'll go into that in just a second, okay? And after this, we're going to go to... Okay. So the first thing when creating a budget, you want to talk about your income. Like what you're going to be doing is your income. So your budget tracker is going to be your income, right? So you list all your incomes, including from all sources. Then we're going to list our expenses here, okay? And then track actual spending. So this is where you're on what's going to come into play. You're going to say budget amount, actual amount, and then over and under. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, if you guys were here. The thing that, so what do you guys, I guess I want to take a poll real quick. What are you guys currently doing for budgeting? Are you guys making a budget for yourself now? And how are you doing that? Can I get some answers for that? Who's all doing a budget right now for their expenses? Who's tracking their budget and doing a budget right now? Raise a hand. Okay, I could conduct a poll real quick. I'm tracking mine, Kilf said. Theo's doing his. Mr. Brown is also doing his. Mr. Brown Harris. Okay, cool, perfect. Mr. Mark is doing it too, and Mr. Denzel. Who else we got? I think Sophia's also doing hers. I think Fallen's probably doing hers, and Oscar's definitely doing his. Who else has got a budget that they're doing? And so if you are doing a budget, how are you doing your budget now? Are you guys doing it like a traditional way where you're going to be doing categories and then saying that this is what I want to spend on those categories? Or are you guys doing it the expense tracker to a budget method? Okay. Yes. Okay, Mr. Brown said yes. So I guess my question is, what do you guys want to learn about budgeting? Is there anything that in particular that you're struggling with as far as budgeting goes? It sounds like most of us have this skill. It's just implementing, right? Some of the stuff is just setting up time, each day to kind of write down your expenses and kind of track your budgeting through the month. Let's talk about, cash flow and how that kind of and bills and how to go about paying those bills and getting the cash flow right throughout the month. Because I really think that's made the bigger issue, right? Like budgeting is cool, but making sure that we have enough cash throughout the month and make sure that we're not stressed out about money throughout the month is what we refer to as cash flow. It's actually what ruins most businesses. Most businesses fail because of a cash flow issue. And so it's something that definitely flows into a business setting. And so what you want to do a cash flow is kind of like a budget, but with a monthly calendar in front of you. So you're going to record all of your inflows and outflows of cash, meaning that you get paid on the first, that's salary, that's the inflow, but then you pay rent on the second, which is an outflow, right? So you're going to be doing kind of like an expense tracker, but it's going to be what's called a cash flow worksheet. And so what you want to do is start with your beginning balance at the beginning of the month or a week, sorry. So your beginning balance, let's say you start with $1,000 and then on Tuesday you get paid $1,200. So now you have $2,200 in your account. And then you have to pay rent on the Friday, which is $1,500. So now you have $700 in your account and that ends the week at $700. So the beginning of the next week starts with $700 and then so forth and so on. The thing that happens though is that some weeks maybe we decide we're going to go grocery shopping or those type of things, and so we got to figure out what time of the month is a good time to go do that. And so we set this up on a calendar. Do I have that calendar here? I do not have the calendar on this worksheet, but I have it on another worksheet. So just a second. I can just make one up too. So here, let's go to File, New. So I'll show you how to make one of these from scratch. Okay, so here's a blank piece of paper like you would have at home. We're going to insert a table, and that's going to be 7 days by 5 weeks, so month. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a typical month, right? So you have day 1 here, and you have day 31, 28, 29, 30, 31 here. So no matter what, you're going to have this many days in a month. And so what happens is so it's the same way you do a budget, right? You do a budget like this. You can do this on a piece of paper with just the same boxes that you have here, as you can see. And what's going to happen is you're going to see that maybe you get paid on the same day every month. So maybe the 5th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th day, you get paid. It's typically the same amount usually, but maybe it's different. Maybe you get paid $3,500 or $2,500 on that day. Okay, and then rent's due by the 7th or the 10th or the 1st. It just depends on which your rent's due. So let's say it's on the 1st. So your rent's due on the 1st, or mortgage is due on the 1st. So that's $1,500, or let's just $2,500 because that's how much rent seems to be most of the time, typically, if not more. So rent. Okay, so if you get paid on the 5th and you get your paycheck on the 1st, you're going to run into a cash flow issue, right? Because your paycheck occurs after you have to pay rent. So that means on the 25th, when you get paid your second paycheck that month, so 31, 30, 29, 28, 27. So 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So this is the 25th. I'm trying to get to the 25th. Thank you. So on 25th, when you get paid the second time, you would either have to save that whole paycheck, meaning that you're going to be broke basically for the beginning of this month after this payday until the 5th, which is stressful, right? This is a stressful way to live. And so how do we make sure that we have more than this $2,500 for rent when it comes around to be the 1st? You guys can't see the screen I'm talking about, can you? How about that? Sorry, it was on the wrong computer screen. Can you guys see it now? I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, so this is my map, my monthly map that I've put together. I just went into insert and then did some boxes basically, and I made a map. So sorry about that. My sons like to say hi. Go ahead, say hi. Oh, sorry, Dad. Son. Hi, everyone. Okay, you want to say hi too, little guy? All right, you guys got to get here. That way. Next one. All right, come here. Yeah. Oh, hi, everyone. Say hi. Hi, the babies. Hi, the babies. Hi, the babies. All right. All right, thank you, guys, for the cameo. Go. They said hi. Hi, everyone. Sorry. Perfect. And so let's get back to, they're pretty cute kids. I think that they're pretty cute too, for sure. They definitely changed my life. Kids do that, kids really put things in perspective for us, right? Like, okay, it's not just about me, it's about these other guys, and it's about my family. And so it really starts to become how do I get this financial situation in order so that they have the best life that I could possibly give them? And so I think that's why everybody's pretty much here, that or they are driven to make a better life for themselves. And so that's kind of why we're learning these skills, I think. And so thank you guys for all being here. For sure. I know my life was a lot different before the kids were involved, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys. So that's kind of how you set it up, throughout the months. You're going to say, okay, this is a first, second, third, fourth. For sure. They give you a whole nother perspective on life, right? Like it changes your whole life, like honestly, and it does for sure. And so I'm grateful every day for them, for sure. Okay, so yeah, so this is how you do cash flow throughout the month, which is really important because why do we get stressed out? Because our money's low, but we have bills that are due, but that shouldn't be the case because when we make, let's say, $5,000 a month and our rent's only $2,500 and our other bills maybe are another $1,000, that's only $3,500. So there's $1,500 that are unaccounted for in our budget here. Okay, so let's figure out where that's going and when we're spending that. And also why, like, going to the fast food restaurants and going to the gas station and getting this extra stuff is so detrimental to our budget. I'm gonna explain all that stuff right now. Okay, so we have rent here on the 1st and we get paid on the 25th and 5th, okay? But then we have utilities that come out, maybe this is the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, on the 10th, okay? So on the 10th we have utilities that come out. So utilities, and let's say those are $300 or $250, $300, okay? And then you also have, what other expenses do you guys have? What other expenses do you guys have on a monthly basis? Go throw it out to me so I can put them on here. And what day? A day and how much? If you guys put that in the chat for your expenses that you have. A day and how much? I just need some more expenses to put on here. Maybe you go grocery shopping on the 15th, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So on Sunday, you go ahead and go grocery shopping on the 15th. Maybe you spend $300 on there. Maybe today it's like $400, maybe 350. Okay. Groceries. Okay. What other expenses can you guys think of? Maybe your credit card comes out on the 24th. Credit card. What do you got? Gas. Okay, yeah. So gas probably is something that occurs throughout the month. So let's say 24th, you have your credit card one goes through, and that's going to be $150 maybe, or $100. Okay, and then credit cards. Yeah. So how much is a credit card? How much is your typical credit card payment, Scott? Is it more than $100? Obviously, it depends on how much you're using. Emergency guard. Yeah, we're gonna talk about emergency repairs for sure too. Okay, so gas. Let's say that you commute to work, and so you have to get gas on maybe this Friday. That's $60. So, and every Friday you get gas. So let's just say that. So on the 6th you're gonna get gas. That's $60. $60. Okay, and then we're gonna do that for every day, every Friday basically, or every other Friday. Do you get gas every week? On a Friday usually, or just whatever day? Let's just say that's on the week, and we'll just go like that. Does that work? Okay. So we got that, and then like $100 or more. That's what I put here for credit card. Yep, for $100 on the 24th. Okay. Does this budget work for everybody? I know it doesn't have all of our expenses, but typical expenses. Can anybody think of any more that we typically have? I know you said car repair. We're going to talk about that in a second. Bid weekly sometimes. Yeah, bi-weekly. Yeah, no, sometimes it's bi-weekly. Yeah, for sure. If you do it right for the gas. So maybe we don't have this one every week, but we have it every other week. So we'll just go like this and highlight it yellow. Okay. Okay. Does this work for everybody? Okay. No, Cole's like, yeah, every week we have gas. I feel that for sure. For a while there, it was like twice a day. Because I had an electric car, so twice a day I was going to this electric station, thinking it was going to save me money. It was like $20 each time, so $40 each day. I'm like, this is not saving me money at all. Like, this is costing me way more money. What am I doing? So that was interesting. I think I'd travel a lot more than most people though. Okay, so this is our month. This is our layout for our month. So this is a typical layout for a month, right? So let's go ahead and add this stuff up and see how cash flow works. If I start the month off with $0 here, let me go ahead and add a section here real quick. Come on. I'm just going to add one over here because it's probably easier. So if we start the month off, let's say beginning balance is 0, just because we're starting off, okay, which is going to put us in the hole right away. So we have $2,500 that goes out, okay, and then we get paid on the 5th. So now we're 0. We're at $0, and then we have $60 that comes out for gas. So now we're negative 60. I know in real life, do we have a negative? We kind of do, but it's called credit cards here. So you spend $60 on credit here, basically. So now you begin this week with $60 negative. So beginning week, $60 negative. Okay. And you have $250 that goes out for utilities and another $60 for gas. So now we're negative 60 plus 250 is 310 plus $60 is 370. So now we're negative at the end of the week. We are at negative 370. Again, that's probably going to go on our credit card if we have to. That's kind of what's going on right there. Okay. And then again, we go to groceries and now, so we begin the week at 370 negative 370. And then we get groceries and gas. That's another $306 or $410. So now we add to end the week, we're at negative 410 plus 370 is 780, I believe. Anybody got better math than I do? I think it's 780. So we're 780s. That's gone on our credit card. And then we start the next week at beginning is going to be 780, negative 780. And yes, no, we're going to get to all those other expenses for sure too. Okay, and so let's say that healthcare and all that stuff came out of our check, and that came out of our check before we got it. So $2,500 is our net pay, not our gross pay. Does that work for health insurance? So that's already taken care of out of our check. Let's say we got paid $3,000 and $500 went to taxes and healthcare and all that. Obviously, it's usually a little bit more than that, but we're just going to, for simplicity's sakes, we're going to say that. Hello, Luke. How are you? Okay, so now we started this week at the beginning with negative 780, and then we have a credit card payment. We can't pay a credit card with a credit card, so this really becomes an issue right here. Our cash flow becomes detrimental because now we can't make this credit card payment because we don't have the cash to make that credit card payment till the following day. How do we take care of that? Okay, so this is a red flag right here. This is not good because we cannot pay this bill with we can't pay a credit card with a credit card, right? We have no way of paying this bill right here. And so technically we're at 780, but we missed this payment. We're gonna have to make this payment here, late. So on the 26th, we're gonna have to make this payment, a late payment, so a late credit card payment, because we didn't have the cash flow to the following day. How do we take care of that? Well, what we do is we call up our credit card company. We ask them for a move of the due date till at least the 27th or 28th, right? Hopefully about 5 days after we get paid. So this date right here should be moved to the 29th. So we call our credit card company and we ask them to move this due date to the 29th. Because why? That's 4 days after we get paid. It gives us enough time to make that payment either through bill pay or if we have to send a bill out, like a check out. Hopefully they'll receive it, but at least it's postmarked by the 26th, and we'll get to them when it gets to them. But you need to make this due date after this payment, right? That's first thing that we'd need to do. So we're not making this late payment to the credit card company. Okay, and each one of our budget's a little bit different, but that's kind of the first thing we want to do for this particular situation. Okay, because you can call and request your due date to be a different date than it is. And I suggest that you do that to make sure that you do one of these monthly calendars and then figure out what day is best for your budget, right? Okay, cool. So now we're at $2,500. So we have $2,500 that comes in, and that's going to hopefully go to our. So what's going to happen right here, if you're doing this particular scenario, is you're going to pay off this whole balance right here. So that 780, that's the first thing you're going to do is pay off this whole balance. So instead of just making a $100 payment to this credit card, you're going to make a $780 payment to this credit card. So it pays it off. That's what you should do at that point. because what's going to happen is that you end that balance and you're not going to pay any interest on that money. So that's a good way to use your credit card. Okay, you've earned the points, you earned the rewards that whole month, and then you pay the $780 off with this check right here. The thing is, though, because we're behind for rent, this is the issue, is that we're going to, so I'll show you what's going to happen. 2,500 minus 780 equals 1720. Okay, so boom. And then we pay gas again that week, so another 90, so 1720. That's what that comes out to. So now we're positive 1720. Okay, and then we subtract the gas. So boom, negative 1720 minus 60 is 60, sorry, is 1660. So now we're positive 1660 at this point. So now we're in the green again, thank goodness. So we're in the green. End of the week is going to be 1620 or 1660. Okay, so we begin the next week at 1660. Beginning. So this is how cash flow works throughout the month. So 1660, but now we have rent again due. Again, so the following month, okay, we start at the beginning of the month with 1660. I'm sorry, 1660. And so we're going to have to automatically pay rent with that money. So now we are going to pay rent with our credit card and our debit card. So we're going to have to do a split payment. And now we're going to be negative. So you see how this is starting to work? Okay, so negative 250. So now we have to go do it, split it with our credit card. So 1600, 1660. The difference is what? 2500 minus 1660 is 840. So now we put 840 on our credit card and we end the week with a, sorry, we don't end the week. So on the first, we're negative 840. We just put 840 on our credit card. So that's that. So here we're going to be negative 840. Negative 840. Okay, then we're going to get paid on the 5th again. So 840 plus 2500 equals 1660, of course. So we're positive 1660 here, and we end the week at positive 1600. Sorry, 1660. End the week with positive 1600. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much how cash flow works. Okay. So this is kind of how that works. And now we have a credit card balance, though, at the end of this week. We don't have that written down here of a negative, so 840. So right here, when we go to get this secondary paycheck, you're going to pay off this 840 to your credit card immediately. So on the 6th, you're going to pay the rest of this 840 off. That's how you use a credit card, right? So this day on the 6th, you're going to pay that 840 off. You're going to end the week with 1600. Okay, but you have zero balance on your credit card at this point, and you paid no interest at all on your credit card. That's like the right way to use a credit card, right? So I use it to fill in the gaps, but I pay it off immediately after I use it as soon as I get paid next. And so then I have my cash flow of 1600, but I have a zero balance on my credit card, and I've earned like rewards on it, but I've earned interest. You know, there's no interest that is accrued on it, and I have a zero balance on that credit card. It's fresh, ready to go again if I need it. Okay, that's how you kind of use credit as far as filling in the gaps there. But make sure that we're doing it in a way that's, smart, right? You're doing it in a way that's going to be paid off. You end the week with zero balance. Hopefully that made sense and hit home for some people. That's how you kind of use credit throughout the month to kind of fill in those gaps. That is basically how you do cash flow. So you're going to look at your bills directly. You're going to put them on a map, on a monthly calendar, and you're going to look at it like, okay, if I spend this money, how much do I begin the week with? How much do I end the month or week with? And you do that for each week, and do it for the next month. Do it for a couple months ahead of time, because you're going to see a pattern. You're going to see that flow, and you're going to be able to take it. You're going to be less stressed out because you have more information and more options than just doing it day by day and just walking through it as it comes, because it becomes more and more stress, because your brains only have, our brains, all of us, only have so much RAM, is what I call it. So much space to make critical decisions throughout the day. And so if you're taking up a lot of that space with work, you're going to be minusing that space or that RAM with decisions like, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to wear today? Those all take up RAM space, and including like, how am I going to make this bill payment? That's all RAM space that you're using up throughout the day. It's going to lessen how much productivity you can have throughout the day. So you really wanted to open up that RAM space by picking out what you're going to wear for the week and what you're going to eat for the week, and that's going to open up more space available to make critical decisions. Hopefully that makes sense. That's what we're really trying to get to, and it will lessen your stress, right? Because when you have more RAM, you have more options, and when you have more options, you have less stress. That's just how it works. Yep. Okay. Just one second. Any questions about any of that? This is a vitally important part of the skills that we have to learn. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So the next part is, how do we figure out how much money we have available per day? So we don't spend money on a monthly basis, right? We spend money every day. And so the way that you break this down into monthly, to think about this on a daily basis, is you take your income, right? And you're going to divide it by 30. So your income. So the other part of this equation is income divided by 30, which is going to give our daily amount that we earn. Okay, so you take your income amount and you divide it by 30. So divide by 30. Okay, so what that looks like is, let's say we go with the $5,000 that we have in a previous example, and we divide that by 30 days. Okay, 5,000 divided by 30 is equals divided by 30. Okay, is $166 a day is what our budget can be. $166 a day. So let's just do $165. You always want to round down on your income and round up on expenses. Okay. When you round down on income and up on expenses, you save the rest, whatever the difference is. Maybe it's $1, maybe it's $2, whatever it may be, you'll be able to save that gap. Okay, so $165 a day is what we have for a budget. And then we're going to also do this with our expenses. So our rent is good, $2,500. So we take our rent, $2,500. Sorry, let me get this math up here. So $2,500 divided by 30 also. Okay, that's our rent for the amount. So $84 a day. So rent's going to cost us $84. 2,500 divided by 30 equals $84. Okay. So that subtracted from this dollar amount, the 165, we subtract the 84 and we get a leftover remainder after rent per month. So that is going to be 165 minus, okay, 165 minus 84 equals $81. So we have $81 a day after rent's paid each month. So after rent, $81. Okay. $81. Okay, so now we have our other expenses. So we have gas, which is 120, 240. So gas is 240. So gas, 240. We do the same thing, 240, and we divide that by 30. Sorry, 30 equals, boom. Okay. So 240 divided by 30 is $8. So minus 81 minus $8 is going to be, $74. No, 81 minus 8. Sorry, $73. Okay, so after gas we have $73 after gas. $73. Okay, that's a day. That's our budget for the day. And then after we do our gas, we have groceries. That's $300. So you do this for each of your expenses. Okay, you're going to find out a daily amount for each of your expenses. So groceries. Hey everybody. So groceries is $350 divided by 30. So you guys can do this with your own expenses as well. So $350 divided by 30. So you want to break down everything into daily amounts, basically. Divided by 30. And what this is going to do for you, so $12. So this is going to be $12. I'll show you what it does for you, $12. So after groceries, 12 minus 73 is okay. Okay. Love you too. Bye. Oh, sorry, my dad just called. Sorry, he just got out of the hospital, so I had to like take that phone call to make sure he's not like in some kind of medical emergency. So I apologize for that. Okay, so 73 minus 12 is going to be 61. So minus 12 is $61 after groceries. So you can start to see that this number is going to go down. And what I'm trying to show you here is that when you spend $20 that's not in your budget, you'll notice that you go negative immediately after all your bills. So that's why this budget thing is so difficult to follow, because when you get down after all of your expenses, when you break this down into daily amounts, you're going to notice, okay, I have $40 extra to spend with every day, and I'm trying to save some, right? So how much am I going to save? If it's $1 a day, you're saving $365 at the end of the year. If it's $2 a day you're saving, it's going to be $720, and $3 is over $1,000 saved in a year if you save $3 a day. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking to do, is save hopefully $5 a day. If we get $5 a day, we're talking about quite a bit of money at the end of the year. I'll explain how that works in just a second, but it's just basically, $5 a day times 365 is going to be, if you save $5 a day times 365, you're going to have $1,800 at the end of the year. Times 5 years, you're going to have $10,000. You have a $10,000 payment for down payment on a house or whatever you want to buy. Okay, so that's kind of how that works, and I'll break this down into how it all comes together. Okay, so after groceries, we have $61. Okay, what other expenses do we have? We have utilities. We're going to add, for sake of time, I'm going to add utilities and credit cards together at $350, but you would do this normally just not together. So credit cards and utilities is $350. You divide that by 30. Okay, so let's grab our handy dandy calculator. Okay, 350 divided by 30 equals $12. So that's $12 again, which I should have known because the equation right above that was also 350 minus divided by 30. So I could have just used that example, but I did not. So sorry about that. Equals 12. So after all of our expenses each month, we have a leftover is going to be $49 after all of it, after credit cards. And that's credit cards and utilities. We have $49. So if you spend anything extra, we have $49 left over. Okay. So if I spend $60 at Walmart on some random stuff, I went over my budget by $12, and now I have to make that up at some point in the month, right? So now I know this number is $49. If I go over $49 for each day, I have $49 to play with, right? Each day. And that's not me saving no money. That's just what my bills come out to be. So what happens is that we tend to kind of go spend money places that are outside of our budgeted items. And as soon as we do that, if it's more than $49, we go in the red. We're negative at that point, right? So $49 is that extra money, or what we call discretionary money, or non-essential money that we can spend, but we don't have any savings going on at all yet. So this is non-essential and savings money. Essentials. Discretionary is another word they use. Discretionary, if I can spell it, so just bear with me. Discretionary, that's probably not how you spell it. Oh, it was. Ha! Look at that. Oh, brush my shoulder off. Okay, anyways. And savings. So we have $49 to work with for all those things. That's left over. Okay? If we want to save, so now we just set our savings goal. I want to save $9 of that. I think I can save $9 of it. Why not? So I'm going to say I'm going to save $9 a day. Savings, $9 a day. Okay, a day. So now I have left over, I have $40 I can work with. So for discretionary non-essentials, I have $40 daily. So $40 left over. Left over. Okay, so now when I go to the gas station, I get my gas that I have budgeted $60, but then I go ahead and get a soda and maybe a bag of chips or something like that. That comes out to be $7 more. I just subtracted from my daily amount $7 from that total. So now I have $33 left. Okay. And then from there, let's say I go and my kids want a toy or something, and I get them a toy. It's $22. I literally have $12 or $13 left on my budget. And I can't, if I spend that, then I'm over my budget and I have to subtract from the next day. So that's kind of how that works. But the thing that happens to a lot of us is that we get in the red one day, and then we continue to spend like that for a couple more days, and now we're super in the red, right? We've overspent our budget multiple days in a row, and now we have to make up that difference. But we pull from our $9 a day or savings, and maybe we even spend more than that. So now we're using the credit card to make up for that difference. But this is a way for you to kind of think about how much money you have to work with on a daily basis. This is how I break it down. It makes the most sense to me. And so if it makes sense to you, please use this skill. If not, then, throw it away. But this is, if you have a dollar budget amount and you subtract all of your monthly bills from it, and you're left over with the amount that you can spend each day, you know that you have to stay within that amount. If you go over that amount each day, right, it's a daily amount, so you have that each day, 40, 40, 40. If you go over $40 for that day, you know you're in the red. You have to, figure it out on a different day. You have to spend less on a different day moving forward, or you're going to be behind on your budget. Okay, so that's how I break it down and how I figure out where I'm at. It really starts becoming really complicated though when you have multiple people spending out of an account. So you really want to make sure that you and your partner or you and your wife or whatnot are communicating well. Because if you spend $20 and she spends $35, you have $55 that came out of your daily budget, and now you're behind $15, and you might not even know that if you're just relying on your bank to tell you when you're spending money. Okay, so you got to be in communication with whoever has access to that account. Okay, so now we have, that's how that breaks down. And now we're talking about $9 a day. So if we were to save $9 a day, what would we have out at the end of the month? $9 times $30, 30 days, $270 at the end of the month. It's something. It's definitely something. So 270 times 12 months. So at the end of the year, I can guarantee I will have $33,000 at the end of the year saved. Boom. Considering that 60% of all Americans don't even have $400 saved, we are doing pretty darn good at $9 a day. So good job on that. Okay, so we can do this. This is how we do it, right? We break it down. We look at our monthly expenses. Okay, once we have that calendar, we break it down into daily expenses because we spend money every day. We don't spend money on the month, right? So take all of your expenses, break them down into daily amounts, and subtract it from your income for the month, and then you're going to have what's left over, and then you're going to use that as your guideline, right? As your guidepost, right? So if I go over that or under that, you can kind of go from there, right? That was awesome, right? That's pretty cool, right? Yes. So that's how we do it. That's how we start to build our budget. That's how you build a budget. Okay. So that's I know it's like all disorganized, but hopefully you were following along and kind of followed me through the system. I'll make it pretty for you guys and try to make it pretty. But that's how I do it. I think it makes the most sense to me because of how it just works out. So cool. So let's kind of a recap on that. So we take and do a monthly calendar. So step one, we get all our expenses together. So all income and expenses together. So we round them up, get all the numbers together. Okay, and then we put that on a monthly calendar. Step two, put those on a monthly calendar of due dates. Place on monthly calendar. Okay, what was step three? Remember, step three was I had a credit card that was due on the 24th, but I shouldn't have had it on the 24th. What would I do in step three? What should I do in step three if I did have something like that? You're going to call up the person that you owe money to, whether that be a bill collector or your credit cards, and you're going to ask them to change the due date to a date that works for your budget. But you're going to know that you're going to know that because now you have it on a monthly calendar, so you know exactly what day is going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. Okay? So you're going to reschedule it. Yep, you're going to ask for a different due date. So step three is going to check for due dates. Check due dates for conflicts. Okay. Then you're going to call them up and tell them, hey, I can't make it on the day. Please switch it over to this other day. It's going to work better for my schedule. And they're going to be like, okay, perfect. Let's do it. And so that's how that works. And then you're going to, step four is going to be calculate cash flow if you need to. Calculate cash flow. Remember that was just the how much we have each month or each week left over. So the beginning of the week, the end of the week, what do we have left? Okay, so you're going to do that. Okay. And then from there, you're going to have your monthly calendar set up, and you're going to kind of do that for the next 3 months. So try to project to the next 3 months. Step 5. Project. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much cash flow and how to set up that part of it. So your monthly budget, right? So this would be a monthly budget setup. I'm going to insert this. No fill. Cool.
Undo.
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, what's up, my guy? Do you have a question? Tell me.
No.
Tell me.
I was saying it went all black, and so I said undo it.
Oh yeah, no, I just made it no fill. Hey Bryce, how are you?
Good.
Cool. And then so in here we're gonna say monthly calendar setup, cash flow setup. So basically, okay, cash flow setup. Okay, so if you have any questions on that, let's stop there for a second and ask any questions. Do we have any questions on how we did this part up here? That was just how the steps to do this part. Any questions on that? Where we got that? We good on that? Everybody can do it. Okay. Can we do it by Friday? Can you guys?
Yeah, I'm good.
Can you guys give me the monthly calendar on Friday? Your monthly calendar by Friday? Who wants to commit to that? Someone commit to it. I'll do it because I need to commit to it too. Denzel, my man, yeah.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Okay. Yeah. If not, then we'll, next week works too. But this is the first step to like taking control of your finances for sure. So expense tracker, this cash flow calendar, and then your month or daily budget numbers. You're ahead of the game. I'm telling you, this is going to be light. It's going to just be like lightness on your shoulders. You're gonna be like, "What? I'm a budgeting master," something like that. I don't know. Okay, you're welcome. Again, unknown user. I need you to try to log in with your name if you want credit for attendance. No worries if you don't. Just know that. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're good on all that. Those are the steps for that. Now we're going to move into daily budgeting. Okay. Because we spend money on the daily, we need to do a daily budget, right? So that looks like this. We're going to say step 1, take our income divided by 30. Income divided by 30. Oops, sorry, 30. And that will equal our daily income amount, daily income. Okay. Step 2 was, you guys tell me, what's step 2? Hugo, what's step 2? Okay, I'm going to pick on somebody else. How about Sean? What's step 2 of figuring out your daily expenses? Crew? Anybody? How about Christy? Denzel, you got it? You tell me. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take each of our expenses, so each expense, sorry, and we're going to divide those by 30. So divide those by 30. So each expense, divide that by 30. That's going to get your daily expense rate. So daily expense rate. And you subtract your daily income from your daily expense rate, and you're going to get what's left over, right? So step 3 is subtract daily income by daily expenses minus daily expenses, and you're going to get what's left over for your discretionary and savings goals. And the goal, right, would be that this number equals 30%, or sorry, 40% of your income. that's kind of what we're hoping for. If you're doing the 50-30-20 rule, no, I'm sorry. The 50-30-20 rule say that 50% of should be left over. Your 50% of your income should be left over at this step. Most likely, for at least for my, my budget, it is not usually 50%. It's more like close to like 30% left over, but each person's budget is going to be different. But this is where you're going to see your discretionary or your non-essential and your savings amount that should be left. Okay, and I'll explain that in just a second, but I set it up here, right? So at this step is where we're at, right? This step right here, where I said $49 is left over, and we're going to save $9, and then you're going to have $40 left for discretionary or non-essentials. That's the step we're at right now. Okay, so step 4 is going to be, subtract daily income minus daily expenses. That's going to equal discretionary or non-essentials. It's the same word, non-essentials and savings remainder, for lack of better words. Okay. And then step 4 would be subtract your savings, right? So subtract savings amount that you want to save from remainder from step 2. Okay, so example, let's do an example here because it's kind of confusing the way I wrote it. So example is $49 minus $9 in savings every day, daily savings equals $40. Okay, remaining. Okay, and so what this does in step 5 is gives us our daily amount that we can spend if we want to. Remainder is our money that we can spend, spending or whatever, discretion. We call it discretionary or non-essential money. Discretionary. We did, mind you, that we didn't put in our phone bill. We didn't put in our, those other extra things. And so non-essential. So you really want to keep that in mind. We also talked about how to properly use a credit card today. I think that we talked about that briefly, but make sure that we're kind of getting the gist of it, that we pay it off as soon as we can, right? So we use it as a gap filler, but as soon as we can, so when we get paid on the 5th, we pay off this whole amount that we have on our credit card each month. Again, we do that same thing again on the next payday. If I've spent this whole money, remember the first month we had to spend $780 on the credit card, we pay it off as soon as possible. So at the 26th, we try to pay it off, that $780. And so we're paying that as soon as we can, and then we will never earn interest on that credit card, and we'll always be in good standings, and our credit score will go through the roof, and we'll just be celebrating, doing the dance and stuff like that, because that's the way you build credit, right? Okay, cool. So we got that today, that lesson today as well. So that's good. Remainder is our discretionary non-essentials. Remember that, so I remember someone asked about my car broke down and how do I fix that? That's a great question. And so what you want to do is also put some money towards these non-monthly occurring expenses. So maybe every 3 months you need to do an oil change, or maybe every 3 months you have to pay your kids' tuition, or maybe every 3 months you have to do this, not monthly bill, but it comes every 3 months, or just what we call basically it's there's a word we use, or they use, it's non-something. So it's something that occurs, it's what am I looking for? The word that I'm trying to find. It's basically it doesn't happen every month. It's not regular.
Expenses.
Yes, it's a non-regular expense. That's not the right word, but that's what we're going to go with. Okay, so your non-regular expenses, you want to calculate that into this number as well. So how do we do that? So we have $40 left over. Okay, $40 left over, and let's say that every month, in a couple months, or every 3 months, we have maybe we fix our car for $150. So in 3 months, we have $150 that we usually have to spend. So what we're going to do that then is take our $150 and divide it by 90 days, right? 90 days is going to give us $2 a day. So of this $40, I need to save $2 a day for this expense that comes up in the future in 90 days, every 90 days or so. So I'm going to say minus $2 for that expense. So for non-recurring or non-monthly recurring, whatever, recurring I'll find the right word and I'll tell you guys tomorrow. Recurring expense. Okay, so $2 a day is way better than $150 right now, right? Like I can do $2 a day, right? $2 a day is cool. So the trick of this is that I'm going to automatically take that money out of my account, meaning that I'm going to automate this into a secondary savings account, meaning that I have my checking and savings account, and then I can actually open up a secondary savings account that's not linked to those two. If I go online to my bank account, bank, and I can say open a secondary savings account. Boom. It's going to open it up. It's not going to be linked to my other accounts, and I can automate my monies to go into that account automatically. So I can either do this daily if you want to, make your bank earn their money. You just go to bill pay and you say, okay, automatically transfer $2 a day or $9 a day into these two accounts. So $9 for your savings and $2 for your non-occurring monthly occurring expenses. Those go out daily, right? So boom, $11 goes to those two things. $2 to this one, $9 to this one. You do that every day. You can set it up that way, and it'll just do it automatically. Boom, 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 boom. And so, or you can add up the 30 days, which would be probably nicer to your bank than doing it every day. But you do $2 times 30 would be $60 a month. So you can do that at some point in the month on your monthly calendar. You're going to put in $60. It's going to come out automatically to this account, and it's going to be for whatever it may be for. And then $9 a day is times 30 is going to be 180, right? No, sorry, 270. 90 times 30, or sorry, 9 times 30 is 270. That's what I thought. So $270 you can either do as a lump sum or $9 a day. You're going to automate that to a secondary savings account, and that's going to happen automatically every day, however you want to set it up. But now you're left with $38 for discretionary, and now you have that expense that's in the future that you know is coming up covered. It's not a stress. You already got it handled. $2 a day. Come on, let's go. And so that's how that works. Carol, do you have a question? Go ahead and tell me about it. Carol, it looks like your hand's up. I wanted to answer your question for you. Yeah, expenditure, but it's called a non. Hey, Maddie, you have a question, buddy? What do you got going on? I'll find the answer right now. I'm still here. I'm just looking for this. This freaking. I think it's called irregular, maybe. Let me see. Matt or Carol, do you have questions? I'd like to answer them for you. Oh yeah, irregular expenses. Really fancy word that I couldn't think of. It's called irregular expenses, okay? And then we have a worksheet for that. So you list your regular expenses and you estimate the cost of it, and then you divide by how many days in between the cost and now, basically. Okay? And you're gonna wanna think through that beforehand. So you wanna think about that. And you can also look at last year's budget. So this is how you kind of use last year's expenses to kind of like think about this year's expenses, right? So taking a look at last year's expenses and saying, okay, this is a regular activity. Yeah, it maybe seemed like it was like irregular for you, but it actually occurred every so many days, right? You're going to be like, okay, well, it actually occurred every almost 90 days. So I know that this expense is coming about every 90 days. And so you kind of look at that from a holistic standpoint, right? James, do you have questions? Carol, you have questions? Anybody have questions? Are you giving me a clap? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And Miles thought this class was going to be not, he probably isn't here. Is Miles here? He probably didn't even come to class today. He was like, I'm not learning about that budget stuff again today. I wonder if he's here. Nope, I don't think so. But yeah, this class was super, I think it was super, one of the most helpful classes we've done so far, because this really sets your foundation, right? So we're trying to build a solid foundation for our finances to sit on, right? And these skills, these 3 skills that we learned today are that foundation. They become your bedrock for everything else. So once we get these 3 skills, or 2 skills, the monthly, looking at it from a monthly standpoint, and then finding a daily standpoint, those 2 skills from looking at it from monthly to daily, those are the foundations of all things that come after this, because those allow you to start to build that framework, like investing and retirement. Those become your rooms, right? But the foundation is these 2 skills: is looking at it from a monthly standpoint, looking at it from a daily standpoint, and staying underneath those numbers. So those are the foundations that we need to build on. And so this is why I think it's vitally important that we look at it from this standpoint. So, okay, I'm a little bit over time. I apologize for that. I'm gonna get you guys out of here right now, but hopefully this was helpful. I think that I would like to see you guys all do your monthly calendar by Friday. So if you could get that done for me and bring that to class or send that over in an email, perfect. Definitely would like to see that happen for sure. So please do that.
Hey,
And
Rocky,
yes, Oscar?
Rocky.
Yeah?
Hey, it'll be next week. How about next week? Probably next week, Friday.
Next week? You want to do next Friday?
Hey, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
If you guys think it's going to take that long, of course, you guys can have as much time as you want to. It's no skin off my game, you know what I'm saying? It's just your life. No, I'm just missing Oscar. Next Friday sounds
Yeah,
great,
okay.
buddy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Hannah? Hey, Hannah, did you want to ask a question? Okay, well, I'm going to open up to Q&A. So if you have questions about any of the skills that we covered today, please feel free to share them in the chat or just unmute yourself and we'll talk about it. Okay, I'm going to say interesting is a good thing, hopefully this time. Does anybody have any questions about any of the skills that we covered today?
Is
They're
it
pretty
this Friday or next Friday?
I was
Turn it
thinking,
into your
well,
email?
Oscar
Hello,
was,
Rocky.
yeah, Oscar was voting for next Friday. I was saying this Friday, so you guys can pick which one you want to go with. Yes, Scott, I think that was.
I mean, it's been an interesting session today. Been following up, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I learned something new today, so I'm really gonna put this into work and see how it goes.
Thank you. Yeah, no, for sure. I think these are the foundational skills that we can learn. We need to learn, right? Because technically, you might get like the bug, and right, and you're like, I'm saving all that $40 today, maybe tomorrow, and the next day. Now you have $120 saved. You're like, yeah. And all I have to do is like go home and not spend anything extra besides what I have on my budget, right? So you're gonna get that. There's gonna be an itch eventually about like, I'm not going to spend that money. I want to put my $40 into my investments, or like I want to put that $40 into this or that. And so you're just really going to look at it from, put your stuff into perspective for us as far as spending, right? Because you have $40 for today. You can spend it on whatever you want. It's not going to hurt anything, whatever that remainder is for each of our budgets. But maybe you want to think about putting that into the future use, right? So if you put it into the future use, that $40 in the future is going to be more money, because you're going to put that into investments and you're going to be earning 40%, or I'm sorry, you're earning 7 to 9% more on that $40. So if you put it towards the future and you don't just put it in a shoebox, we talked about inflation, so that won't help. But if you put it into an investment and it's making you money, that $40 now it becomes more money in the future. And so if you do that day after day, or after month, that's how we start to build financial security, right? We start to build it by these small steps. It's not about like this get rich fast, get rich, what I'm saying? It's about these daily habits that we have, or daily expenses that we have or don't have, right? It's basically how it all adds up at the end of the day. Because if we save $40 for a year, let's just play it out, right? $40 times 365, $14,000 at the end of the year. So, okay, maybe that's not practical. Maybe that's not doable. Let's say half of that. So $20 times 365, $7,000 into the year. So we're talking about a pretty good chunk of change at the end of the year if we're able to do this, like, where we're able to not go out and do this fast food restaurant. You go to the fast food and you spend $30, you pretty much have $10 left over for anything else for the day. But if you skip that and go make a meal at home, which you already budgeted in your groceries, then you save that money and you get to save that money for the next day or something cool later on. And that's where our saving goals come into play, right? So those are the decisions that we can make when we have all the information, and we have all the information once we start to do the math, right? One of the golden guidelines is do the math, right? And so, yeah. What if an emergency and we used up our remainder and unforeseen situation comes up? What do we do then? Perfect. That's a great question. So part of this, part of our budget, we take this $40 and some of it gets allocated to what's called an emergency fund. Okay, so if our emergency fund is all of this money that we have calculated up, so we take all this numbers right here. So we take 2,500, we take 60 times 4, take our utilities, our groceries, all of these expenses that we have. Those become our essential expenses, right? So we take all that number, whatever it may be. So let me add that up real quick. 30, so 240 plus 2,500 is 2,740 plus 35 plus 700. So 700 plus 2,740 is 34, let's say $3,600. Close, it's pretty close to that. So our monthly expenses altogether is $3,600 for our essential expenses, right? Bear with me, we're just gonna run through this real quick. So our $3,600, and then we're gonna times that by 3. So that gives us 3 months of essential expenses times 3. Okay, so $10,000. Okay, and we're gonna say that it takes us a year to do that. So divided by 12. Okay, and then so it's $900 a month. And then we're gonna divide that by 3 or 30. I'm sorry, that's 30 days. Okay, divide that by 30. And so we need to save to get that number to get to our emergency expenses is $30 a day that we're trying to spend or save. So why do I even bring that emergency savings up? So when those expenses come up, we have this cushion that we're saving. So maybe that we only have $10 extra a day then. We're trying to get to that emergency fund. That becomes, so remember that I did 3,600 times 3, which is 3 months of expenses. Okay, so that came out to be, what was it, 14, 369, 12. What was that number? So 3,600, which is our monthly expenses that we have, times 3 months, which is 10,000, sorry, 10,080. So that's how much we're trying to save for our emergency fund. Then we divide that by 12. Let's do 24. So maybe $30 is too much a day, but it is within our budget. We could do that, right? We could, because now we know our daily allotment of monies, right, which is $40. We could technically do $30 a day in savings. If we did nothing above and beyond our expenses, we'd have $2 a day to work with, which isn't much. But it really matters about how dedicated you are, right, to this. And so now we divide that by whatever timeline we want to use. So maybe it's 24 months. So maybe it's going to take us 2 years to save this up. Okay, the reason why I bring this up and why it's important for your question that was just answered, Lisa, is because watch this. So we go 10,000 divided by 24 months. So we're going to save $15 a day. Sorry, that's $450 a month. Divide that by 30, which is our daily amount. So $15. So that gives us our monthly amount equals monthly savings. Okay, so, and then we divide that by 30, and that gives our daily savings. So now we've broken down all the way into our daily savings amount. So divided by 30 equals daily savings amount. Okay, anybody else following me? So now we're saving $30, we're doing $15 a day. Okay, so this becomes that emergency fund that you're talking about. What if something happens? You're going to be using some of that money if you have to if something comes up. So let's say in a month you have how much saved up. So something happens this month, and inevitably when you start doing these new skills, the world's like, I don't think so, and it's just going to throw you a wrench. Don't get discouraged. That's just the world saying you're about to level up. Here's a wrench in your level up, and see if you can handle it, because the world, kind of tends to like throw wrenches at us when we're about to level up. So don't let that deter you. So when this example is, I got a job this job in August. So my life was about to end, but my house caught on fire in August as well. So that was the wrench that the world threw into my life. My whole house burned down, boom, gone. So if you work through that wrench though, and keep on working towards your goal and keep doing it, then the world's going to bless you for doing that, right? So all of a sudden, we're able to move into a new house here in Auburn. It's a nice house, better than any house I've ever lived in. So blessing, right? So just keep on pushing through that wrench or whatever the world tries to throw at you, but keep on track, and you're going to be blessed because of it, in my opinion. That's just how I feel about it, and I think that's how the world works. It's called reciprocity. So the law of reciprocity, what you put out into the world comes back to you tenfold. That's kind of how it works also. So the world's going to try to throw a wrench. You're going to just deal with it and keep a good attitude and just move forward in the same saving manner, meaning that you're going to take your savings that you've saved up and pay whatever you need to pay. Use your credit card if you have to, but it makes sure that it's hopefully under this $40 amount that you have in discretionary. If not, you're going to have to save a couple days throughout the month to make up that amount, but you're still going to do the same math is what I'm trying to say. So what this looks like for you, you're going to say 15 times 30. So by the end of month one, you'll have $450. Most crazy expenses that come our way are less than $450 mostly. If you think about it, like most of them are going to be less than $450 most of the time. Like your tire goes flat or your car needs a new, like an oil change or flush or whatever. It might be a little bit over 450, but most of the time it's going to be under this 450 mark. So that's kind of the number that, you know, how that would work for this particular budget, right? Your budget's going to be different, but if this situation was this person's income and expenses was like this, that's what I would suggest, that we have this emergency fund that we're trying to put together. Okay, you spend your emergency fund, you start the next month saving $15 a day. And then if something else comes up, you spend it, but you try not to, right? Okay, so that's kind of how you handle emergency expenses as far as budgeting goes. I hope that made sense. I know it was kind of confusing, but that's what I got for you. Belfa, thank you so much for your kind words and all of your guys' kind words. Thank you so much for attending today's class. If you have any further questions, feel free to email me them or send them over. I got you. Just send them over to me and we'll either set up a time or I'll call you or we can call each other. My phone number, if you ever need to get a hold of me, is going to be 206-889-4797. But don't call it right this second because I got to charge it and then I'll get on it. So just so you know, give me a second to charge it. Okay, there we go. Hollenbaugh at United Indians. This is my email. I'm just a dude trying to make it through life, you know. UnitedIndians.org. Okay. Cool. That's my email. Feel free to send me a message or, you know, to chat. I'm available. I'll try to be available all the time for you guys. Obviously, yeah, life happens, but I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you. Yes, perfect. All right, that's it for Carol. Your hand's still up, and I'm worried that you have a question. I don't want to leave you without answering it. So do you have a question, or can I unraise your hand? Do you mind? Okay. All right. Sorry to keep you guys after class, but we'll talk more. Do you guys want to continue with budgeting tomorrow? We're going to move into savings, how this works into savings and setting up savings goals. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but we'll talk a little bit more about how to set those goals up and how this looks like now that you guys have this skill, this daily expense skill down. So, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I will see you, everybody.
Rocky?
Yes, Oscar?
Let's continue with budgeting tomorrow.
What was that?
I said we should continue with budgeting tomorrow.
Yeah, we should continue with the skill set and move forward with the savings next, right? And how to set that up. And then, boom, now we have, perfect. All right, we'll just keep it in order.
All right.
I'll try not to skip around on you guys so much. So. Okay.
Fine. All right.
Cool. Hey, let's build our community, man. You guys ball, I ball, we all ball. You know what I'm saying? The more money that our communities make, the more money that each person is able to save and, you know, invest for themselves, the better your communities are, the better schools that our kids go to, the more taxes that we pay. Yeah, but that's better schools, right? Like, especially if we get involved and start to dictate where our money's going by getting involved with our local city councils, getting involved with our local legislators. We start to be active in our communities because, you know, that's what we have to do to make our world better. And so we do that through taking care of our own house first, and then we start to move out and try to help to facilitate better living for everybody, right? That's kind of the skill. That's kind of what we're shooting for, I hope. That's what I'm shooting for.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yotva is how we say thank you, and Yotva is how we say thank you in Karuk, which is the tribe I belong to in Northern California. So Yotva, everybody, and thank you so much. Bye.
It's all right. All right.
Okay.